Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. And our call-in number is 646-200-4169. And if you're trying to get in the chat room, if you'll just hang on for a minute, we're not at internet connection yet. We're traveling down the road. We'll have it up within just a few minutes, and then you can get on. So just hang on a minute, and then you can try again.
And if you're calling into the show, we'll just ask you to hold for a couple of minutes. If you want to get in to say hello, David, Terry, we are on the road. Here we are, life in Pahrump, Nevada, and taking care of things on the road oftentimes gets interesting and complicated. In any event, we are here to support you in learning the dynamic, in particular, of the ancient Aramaic idea of forgiveness. And that idea of forgiveness is how you clean out your store, that is, your own database inside of you, which holds a record of everything that's ever happened in your bloodline. And so the ancient Aramaic idea of forgiveness is the exact opposite of what's taught in this culture. It has nothing to do with, I'll let you off the hook for the terrible thing that's happening inside of me. That's a Greek idea of pardoning that 2,000 or close to 2,000 years ago was substituted for forgiveness. And, of course, if you never learn how to forgive, then you get to live the title of my book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And you get to run through those scenarios that exist inside of you over and over and over again. Of course, the mind plays the game of making it look like, oh, well, this is a totally different circumstance because, look, there are different people here. But even though they're different people, you'll notice the dynamic is the same. The reason is because inside of you lie a whole store of realities, a multi-generational database that carries every dynamic from all of your bloodline. And what tends to happen is that plays itself out over and over and over again until you understand how to go inside of yourself and remove what never belonged. Guess what never belonged? Any form of hostility or fear. No such thing belongs in the human energy system. It is the destroyer of the human energy system. It is the cause of all disease. And we're working to share the how-to of Aramaic forgiveness, which was disappeared almost 2,000 years ago from planet Earth. We're here to restore it to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. And this week, if you happen to be in Pahrump, Nevada, or Las Vegas area, we're about an hour west of Las Vegas in the town of Pahrump. And beginning on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock, 1 to 4:30, we'll be doing a free Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop. And then on Monday night, we'll do you remember the schedule? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, we'll be doing a series of 3 other free workshops. I know we're doing Healing Through Relationships Monday night, I believe, Circle of Life Tuesday, and Codependence to Interdependence on Wednesday. And if you're interested in taking your work to another level, we're looking at doing another mini intensive here in the area, probably 2 weeks after we finish here in Pahrump. So anybody who's interested in any of that, you can jump on our website, www.whyagain.com, www.whyagain.com, and that's our website. And on our website, you will find our schedule. And if you're new to the show and you're not familiar with the Aramaic forgiveness process, on the right-hand side of the home page, you'll see a link. The link says Download Worksheets, and you can download those worksheets. You can click on that link, and the first 2 items on the link are an explanation of how to do the forgiveness process from the Aramaic, and the second link is the reality management or forgiveness worksheet process. So they're free on the website. You can also download our book in English, German, Russian, Spanish, and in the ancient Farsi language, which, of course, is still a spoken language in Persia today. We thank our support team from all over the globe who've taken the trouble to translate the work into so many languages. We've got several other languages that are underway at this moment, and it's a delight to be able to share these tools with you. If you have any questions or thoughts, anything you'd like to share about your experience of the tools, you'd certainly be welcome to call in. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. That's 646-200-4169. And we do have a caller.
Area code 716, you're on the air. Who do we have and where are you calling from?
Hello, 716. Give us a name.
I'm calling from, my name is Audrey. I'm calling from Buffalo, New York.
Oh, welcome, Audrey. You're a neighbor of mine. My original years were spent just across the border in Hamilton, Ontario.
Oh, wow.
You guys got to get more snow than we did.
Yeah, we're just getting rid of snow. Now we're into rain. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a lot of snow, and then now it's raining. So, you know how Buffalo is.
About 30 years ago, I learned there was a place they had no winter, and I moved south.
Yeah, I wish I could move. Maybe one day. That's my goal in life. Get out of Buffalo.
So how can we support you, or do you have a question, something to share?
Well, I'm on the road to forgiveness and healing and stuff, but I have a relationship question. Do you work on relationship questions? My boyfriend and I just got back together, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, where we're headed. I don't know if you have any insight on that, or you could help me with that.
Well, are there some specific issues that you're working with in your relationship?
Probably trust. Like, I've been working on trust. I've had trust issues in my past, and I've been trying to, let go of the past and heal that. And, forgiveness is really hard to let go of. But once you do let go, it's, something to really move forward with. So. Have you
looked at the reality management worksheet that we talked about on our website?
No, I didn't know how to get to the website. Is it?
Okay. Well, if you go online and you go to www.whyagain.com, you'll be on our website.
Okay.
And on the right-hand side, you'll see a thing that says download worksheets. What's happened in our culture, by and large, if you haven't contacted the type of work that we're doing with forgiveness, what's happened with our culture is we've been taught, I have all this pain inside of me, it's all your fault, but it's okay, I'll forgive you, which, of course, does nothing to change the pain that's inside of me. In the ancient
I've gone to
Aramaic,
therapy, and, the therapist, you talk to them, they tell you certain things to do, but they don't get it.
Yeah, there are therapists who do, and there are therapists who don't, for sure. But I'd invite you to download that worksheet and the instructions for doing it and begin to work with that process of forgiveness. It's exactly the opposite of what the culture teaches. And it teaches you how to go inside and change what's happening inside of you so that you're not run by past scenarios. One of my favorite stories, I can remember when I was a kid in my hometown of Hamilton, Ontario, and there was a bag lady who was probably in her 70s. She pushed a cart around town, was, filthy rags that she wore, and was pretty repulsive looking, and people would, point at her and laugh. And one day I met a man who knew her and said that when she was a young woman, she was to be married, and the day she was to be married, the man she was to marry left town, ran away, never saw him again. And she swore no man would ever find her attractive again. And so here she is now, probably in her early to mid-70s, and pushing a cart around town. Who's still running her life? The guy that left her at the altar, 40, 50 years ago. And here's what we know about the truth about human beings. We are made of the stuff called love, and it doesn't matter who or what you're dealing with. You will never lose. You will always be a winner if you keep love present in your mind and in your experience. The truth is, in relationships, we don't get our love from someone else. We get our love when we experience in relationship who we are. And to verify that, all you need to do is hold a newborn child, and you'll know what the essence of human life is. When the culture pounds into us our hostilities and fears, and then we blame somebody else for what's going on inside of us, we end up getting stuck in a cycle of re-experiencing what's going on inside of us over and over and over again, and not getting back to the experience, the direct experience of love. And that leaves us in a position where we're looking for love in all the wrong places. We're hoping we'll find somebody else to love us, and when they don't do what we want them to do, then we say, oh, well, you just don't love me. And the truth is, you can't get your love from somebody else. You can't give your love to someone else. You get to experience who you are when you experience your direct human life. And if you keep that present at every instant of your life, the most horrible relationship will be a blessing for you. There's only winning if you actually come to the point where you experience yourself as a human being, as love. And so in using the forgiveness process that we're teaching from the Aramaic, what you do is you go inside yourself and delete everything that's unlike love, everything that's unlike your original true nature. And as you do that, the only thing left is you, love. And you get to experience that state of being 24/7, 365. And if somebody comes along, let's say in relationship, comes and goes, you're going to stay connected to love because of who you are, and you're going to experience love throughout that whole thing. The hurt, the pain of, oh, they left, they don't love me, is just a hangover from generations of rejection and experiencing ourselves as something that we're not. And so we invite you to give up the goal of looking for love in all the wrong places. Find the being that you are. You do that by letting go of what you're not, and that's the forgiveness process. And then enter into the world as love. And as you do that, it is an awesome shift that happens in relationships.
Wow. And what's the website again? I didn't quite get it.
www.why.
H-Y.
W-H-Y, the word why.
Okay.
Again. The title of my book is Why Is This Happening to Me Again? Our website is www.whyagain.com. The right-hand side, there's a link to download the worksheets and the instructions for the worksheets. And you can download the whole book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, free on the site in any one of 5 different languages. And as you start to work with that, what you'll find is that you'll start to unload the generational traumas of loss, of fear, of rejection. And when you let go of those things, the only thing left is you. The only thing left is who you are. And you stop looking for somebody to love you, and you experience yourself as you experience that newborn, as the active presence of love. You know, there are a lot of books written in the culture about what they call the near-death experience. And our thesis with this work is that the average person is actually dead by about the age of 4. We've had the love kicked out of us. And we're now functioning as demanding, hostility, fear-based beings, you know, the terrible twos, all the stuff that goes along with that. And when they talk about a near-death experience, what they're really writing about, and as usual, the world has it backward, they're really writing about a near-life experience. And what happens is all of the dramas and traumas of our own lives and of our generational memory bank are stored in this so-called body-mind unit. And those dramas and traumas tend to replay on demand. When someone experiences the clinical death, the body, so-called body, physically dies, it shuts up. All of its drama and trauma is now silenced, and people get a direct experience of the human being they were created. And then, if their bodies are resuscitated, they bring back a direct experience of the absolute, total, phenomenal presence of love. And they start to change their lives. And they start to work through the drama and trauma that's held in their physiology. Fortunately, we don't all have to experience a near-life experience, the world calls it a near-death experience, in order to have that near-life experience. when you use the forgiveness process, as we've got it outlined on the website, what you're doing is you are collapsing the output of your body's mind. The same thing happens in the near-life experience, where the body clinically dies. It shuts up. And when it shuts up, you get a taste of being. You get a taste of what it is to be a real human life, the real, true, active presence of love, just like that newborn, because that's what you still are. We've been covered up by all of these stored dynamics in physiology, and forgiveness is about removing those stored dynamics from physiology and reclaiming who we are. It's an awesome process.
That's what I need to do.
Say again?
That's what I need to do.
That's what we all need to be doing. It's a global insanity that's happening of all this hostility and fear pointed at everybody else because we have pain inside of us. And nobody's responsible for your pain but you, and nobody can forgive it. Nobody can remove it but you. And when you do your part in removing it, you're finished with it. The same thing that yesterday you may have been cancel of thought and terror and trauma over can happen today, and you'll go, oh, I'm love, okay. What's next, world? What have you got to serve up next? Instead of, oh, my God, look at all this drama, look at all this trauma, look at this pain. You remove your pain. We as human beings are not designed to live in pain. We're not designed to have any of that in us. But because we've lost contact with our true being, what tends to happen is we experience that trauma and that pain as who we are. In the ancient teachings, when they said, in order for you to live, you've got to die, that didn't make any sense until you start to understand that if you function out of a false image in your mind of who you are, that is, you're a body with dramas and traumas and pains and trials and tribulations, then that self literally has to die in order for you to live, being love, awesome presence of love that you are, to live in your own skin. We're all designed to live as that. And when we go there, everything changes. Absolutely everything. It's an unbelievably awesome process. We oftentimes see people who are literally on the verge of suicide over what's happening in their lives. And once they get and understand this lesson and start to do the work, they are excited, they are delighted about being alive, and so thankful that they didn't off themselves. So I'd invite you to download those worksheets, go to work with them, and watch what happens. Maybe invite your boyfriend to participate with you. Hey, let's go on a journey together. Let's learn how to do forgiveness. And instead of when I'm in pain, I blame you, and when you're in pain, you blame me, and I expect you to fix what's going on inside of me, and you expect me to fix what's going on inside of you. Have you ever been able to change the pain in someone else's heart or mind?
No.
You can't.
I just want to be myself. So.
But you can change your own with the right tools. And this tool of forgiveness disappeared from planet Earth almost 2,000 years ago. We're here to restore that tool.
Well, then I guess it was meant for me to call in and get it.
Say again?
I guess it was meant for me to call in and get it because I've been searching for something and I just don't know.
Absolutely awesome. Well, please download the worksheet. Start putting the pen to the paper and doing the process. And what you'll do each time you do a worksheet is you'll collapse the painful realities until around any given issue you'll simply be finished with it. Now, when they asked the original teacher on the planet about this process of forgiveness, they kind of said, well, how many of these worksheets do we have to do? Is 7 enough? In Aramaic, what he said was no. He said 77 times 70. And what that means is that depending how deep that painful experience is for you, how long it's been going on in your bloodline. For most people, if you go back and look at, if you were to lay out specifically what your issues are, what your dramas and traumas are, and went back and interviewed both of your parents, you'd find that both your parents had the same issue and never worked through it, one or both of them. If you go back and look at grandparents, you'll find that 1, 2, 3, or all 4 had the same issue and never worked through it. Go back to your great-great-grandparents, somewhere between 1 and all 8. So it isn't, oh, I did a worksheet on that and I'm finished. You might literally do 77 times 70. And what you will do is you will progressively and systematically work through and remove the very capacity to experience any kind of pain or trauma in any circumstance. And that's when we get to start living a real, true human life.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your call. Please, get some worksheets under your belt and call us back and let us know what your experience is, what's happening.
I will do that. Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Glad to hear from you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Call-in number is 646-200-4169 if you have any questions for us. We had a young man named Dan on the show the other day who's a bond trader and was on his 31st day, I think the day he was on the show, of doing 5 worksheets a day. And I just got an email from him yesterday saying that Friday he did 10 worksheets. He's moving into deeper and deeper spaces. And as you start to use that process of forgiveness and clarify your mind, getting rid of every non-human experience that could possibly be there, everything begins to change.
The 2 people at Heartland with Terry earlier.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So, David, are you there? We've been busy here for the first few minutes of the show. Oh,
I am, Michael. I am. How are you guys?
I am blessed and highly favored. How about you?
Likewise. It's just been fabulous. The sun is shining here in the Heartland. I guess it must be the 2 young ladies that came here to inspire us and motivate us to get some things done outside. So we have Ingrid and Nightshade that are here participating. We're listening in as well. And it's going really well. It was a great call from Audrey, and I was reminded of a story about a fellow that lived up north like you did, and he had a Jeep with a plow on the front of it, and he started driving south, and he was asked, he said, well, how far are you going to go? He said, until someone asked me, what's that on the front of your Jeep right there? Because it wouldn't be the brain cells, for anyone, and he knew he was far enough south that he wasn't going to need that plow. So it's pretty cool.
Right.
So things are going well. You might even be able to hear the roosters in the background crowing, and it's a nice day here at Heartland, getting ready for the intensives. So
awesome. Well, we're in Pahrump, Nevada, and today it's a gorgeous, sunny, blue skies, 66 degrees outside, and looks like it's probably going up into the mid-70s, so we're getting some pretty nice weather. Although we were out in Charleston View, California, which is just across the Nevada line where Dr. Andraki, that is sponsoring us here, lives. And this morning, or actually all night, the wind was just a continuous howl. And then we drove into Pahrump to do the show, and lo and behold, the wind's pretty much slowed down. There's still a little bit of it, but it's not as heavy duty as it was out there in the desert. So I wonder. Michael, go ahead.
I do my best to look at things differently. It's like the weather, and I noticed that a lot of folks, so that's the first thing that when someone asks, so how are you doing, they usually kind of talk about the weather just to connect with each other. And one of the things that I was recognizing as I was doing some traveling today was that, a lot of people were grateful that it's how are you doing? Well, I'm doing better now that it's not raining. And I thought, well, it's kind of like doing our work. It's like, to me, using the metaphor of doing my forgiveness work. Why do I want to keep doing this forgiveness work? And what I knew what was coming was this increase in, it's that expression that's called the storm before the calm, and how beautiful that the weather is today, in reference maybe to comparing it to a rainy day. And I was listening to one of the Course in Miracles tapes, and I was reminded of why do the work. And you mentioned it earlier this morning, that unless that I do the work, then I won't get to experience my true essence of who it is that I am. And that's always being revealed to me a little bit more and a little bit more each time that I use one or additional tools that you have created, and which I am much appreciative for your work and your support in bringing these to the consciousness of the planet. So there may be people that are out there that are listening and wondering, well, why do this? Why do this work? So I don't know if there's anyone in the chat room and or on the line that might have a thought around that, and we certainly do welcome any questions, thoughts, ideas, interject something into the conversation. Because I can talk like this for quite a while.
Yeah, well, we can interrupt that for a moment, and we can bring his commercial. No, just kidding. When you talk about the rain, and I'll be doing better when the rain is over. Here we are out in the desert, and it's all relative. It's kind of like what are the realities that your relatives hold? But I'll tell you, the amount of work, the physician and his wife that we're staying with live in Mojave Lakes, and they have awesome gardens. Could you put your phone on mute there? They have awesome gardens that are just, so much work. And the work that they do to get water to these plants consumes a huge amount of their day. And when it rains, they're just like, oh, thank God, rain, because they get so little of it that it's a wondrous experience and blessing when they get it. And, of course, it just really speaks of the whole process of the work. If I have realities in my mind of disappointment and upset, I can be disappointed and upset because it's too hot, or because it's too cold, or because it's too wet, or because it's too dry. Or I can be disappointed and upset because it's, somebody did this or somebody didn't do that, et cetera, et cetera. And I say it's all because of, I'm only blue because of the weather. I'm only blue because you said this. I'm only blue because you did that. And the truth is, I'm only blue because I hold a reality in my mind called blue. And anything will do. And if you choose to live without it, you can engage in the process of forgiveness and get done with it. Move on from it and live in a totally different world. And that's what we're inviting everyone to do with this work, is to be responsible for the quality of reality that they hold in their mind. And, I can say, well, gee, I was planning to go out and work in the garden today and it's raining, so I'm not going to get to do that. But do I need to be upset about it? Well, if I have realities in my mind called upset, then I'll pretend that I'm upset about it. And the truth is, I'm never upset for the reason I think, which is a great lesson from the Course in Miracles. I'm only upset because my mind holds a reality called upset. And any circumstance, any situation will do. When I decide to take responsibility for that, then I can change those realities in my mind and be done with it. I can enter into a totally and completely different world and live in the enjoyment of whatever comes my way, what the world would call the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have that capacity. We have that ability. And so we're looking to bring forward an understanding of those tools and an understanding that reality is the output of our minds and that every reality we experience is in us because it's in us. It isn't in us because of what somebody else did. It's there as a result of our genetic history and our own experiences, and it's something that we structure. And when we begin to forgive, those painful structures that we've put in our minds literally begin to disappear. Instead of playing the game of I'm going to blame you, you're going to blame me, and together we'll, get into drama and trauma, it becomes I'm going to support you, you're going to support me. Gee, David, I have an upset reality about what just happened. I need some support to work through and let go of this. I need some forgiveness help. Would you support me? And instead of the enemy, you become the support team and vice versa. And when we work toward holding the space of love, of healing for each other, an awesome change and an awesome shift takes place, both inside and outside of us. So do any of the ladies that are visiting, are you there in the room with them?
Well, actually, I'm standing up in front of on the road a little bit, and they are sitting. Looks like they may have. Do y'all have a question?
Yeah, if they have a comment or question, that would be cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I was doing was keeping the phone separated a little bit, so the feedback on that.
Right.
There you are.
Here we are.
So, hello.
Hello.
Welcome. Glad to speak with you again.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Mm-hmm.
So do you have any questions or comments about what we're talking about with the forgiveness tool that we're teaching, that we're working with?
Questions, comments. I'm intrigued. I do not have a question formulated right now.
Okay, cool.
Although we're just talking about some of our members at our home community could probably use some of these worksheets and these forgiveness methods, because I feel like some people need to let go of some things for sure. Very, very interested in looking at your website some more and maybe giving these tools to other people who I feel could use them.
Right. Cool. Well, that would be fabulous if you were to pass them on. And as I said earlier today when we talked, if at some point we can get up in that direction, we'd love to come and share the tools with the community. It certainly has a profound impact on community. And of course, you're probably familiar with the community building work of Scott Peck, where he invited people to be willing to go through their chaos to get to true community, and that most people live in community, live at arm's distance, and never really go into the truth that's inside of them and face what's there, but usually when there's upset, have somebody else to blame. And it takes a huge amount of commitment for somebody to work through that internal chaos and for several people to arrive at the point where there's true community. Most people, when their internal chaos, when that old hostility, fear, trauma, and pain come up, they turn tail and run, or they drug themselves, and the most commonly used drug is that of hostility, is that they'll enter into an hostile state of mind and anesthetize themselves against the chaos and pain that's going on inside of them, and of course, in their hostility, pointing it at someone else, want to blame somebody else, as though somebody else could possibly cause something to happen in your mind, as though somebody else could possibly correct something that's happening in your mind. And what our work is about is empowering people to take on the stance of correction and to move through what never belonged in the first place. And that means going to the deepest levels of yourself, into the deepest pains, the deepest traumas that have happened in the bloodline, and instead of just reliving them, actually reaching inside yourself and removing them. It's not Dr. Feelgood. That's one of the reasons why real healing is not very popular on the planet. I think that's one of the reasons why the true teaching on forgiveness disappeared, because in order for somebody to go there, they've got to allow everything that's unlike their true nature, love, to come forward for healing. And that's a major project. And so we're here inviting people around the globe to engage in that major project of forgiving everything that looks like hostility, fear, grief, trauma, sadness, hatred, vengeance, rage, and coming out the other side free of those things and creating true human community where the active presence of love is the rule rather than the exception. The game that most of us play when we have some form of internal drama and trauma is it's all somebody else's fault. And in being somebody else's fault, of course, all I have to do is punish them enough, and then they'll stop, and then it will be okay. And, of course, we live in a culture that puts out a myth. And the basic myth that we all get structured from the beginning is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. The good guy kills the bad guy and is the bad guy. And we're looking to change that dynamic. Actually, if you look in the ancient teachings, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, which is something that people use to justify their vengeance, when you look at it in its original context, it was actually putting a limit on the violence that was allowed. The violence that was done for the smallest infraction would be horrendous to the person who had committed the crime. And way back then, what Moses was saying, okay, guys, if you have to do your vengeance, you can't do any more than they did to you. You're not allowed to go kill their whole family for the smallest infraction, which is what would happen in that culture. So it's a limit. It's not a requirement to take vengeance. And so we're looking to bring the understanding of the tools for working through those things and ridding our culture from those things, or of those things, and getting to the point where we live an actual human life that's designed for so much more than the loveless toil, the pursuit of money, sex, power that fills so many people's days. And, you know, it's just time for us to wake up as human beings and recognize that we have something else to do, that there is a different way to live, and to rise to an actual human life, where that newborn essence that everybody experiences when they hold a newborn becomes their normal day-to-day state of being. That's our birthright. That's my offering. So, Jean, do we have any calls or any comments in the chat line or the chat room?
Oh, I have another question. Is there any way that your dreams can be linked to this type of awakening?
Say it again. Say that once more.
How do your dreams play into this type of work? Can you forgive yourself and do meditations as well to reach this, attain the being of love? Well,
we suggest you never forgive yourself for anything. We suggest you never forgive another for anything, because you can't. You may, if you do something that's off base, say, okay, I'm going to pardon myself. I'm going to let myself off the hook. This other person did something terrible. I'm going to let them off the hook. But the terrible thing they did resonated something painful inside of me. And so forgiveness is what I would apply to what's painful inside of me to remove it. So when I apply forgiveness, it's to removing those traumas and dramas that never belonged in a human bloodline in the first place. So we have a misnomer in this culture that we forgive ourselves or we forgive somebody else. As far as dreams go, our thesis is that as long as we're living out of the content of our brain cell structure, we're simply living in a dream state. And the dreams that we have when we're asleep come from the same place as the dreams we have when we're so-called awake, that this body-mind unit has information stored in it, and it plays out. It makes up pictures out of its content over and over and over again, whether one's in a deep dream state or one's in a so-called awake state. There's actually a group called the Achuar Indians in Peru, and they live on a remote area of pristine land, and had no contact with Western society whatsoever, or outside society, until the Westerners started to come in and see what they could steal: oil, timber, mining, that sort of thing, and out of their work with a group called the Pachamama Alliance, there's a workshop been created, and it comes directly from these Achuar Indians, and the name of the workshop is Awakening the Dreamer. And their thesis is that Western civilization, so-called civilization, is in a dream state, and the dream needs to change. We need to awaken from the dreams of insanity and start to implant dreams of well-being, of wholeness, of human life. And so awakening the dreamer and changing the dream is the message from the Achuar Indians in Peru. And they've been so genius at what they're doing that they've accomplished having the Peruvian government, first time on the planet that an indigenous people has been allowed to keep their land even though there are valuable things on it, and the Westerners haven't been allowed to come in and steal it all, which is pretty awesome when you look at how long that's been going on. And then the land itself by the Peruvian government was actually given rights. And when you think about that, it's an awesome accomplishment. These people are not living in the dream world that the Western civilization is. And through our dreams, there's a lot to be learned. We invite people to do worksheets on what comes up in their dreams because our dreams come from the same place, the same firing of brain cells as happens in our awakened state. And there can be many messages in many places where we can go in through dreams and begin to do deeper and deeper levels of forgiveness. And meditation, I think, is an awesome tool for connecting directly to love, our true essence, if that's what it's being used for. Sadly, I've observed many people who use meditation simply as a way to drug themselves. You know, here I go on in my life and I create drama and trauma. Oh, I better go meditate so I can get peaceful. And they go into that meditative state and, gee, things are better. And they turn around and they're back in their drama and trauma. Oh, I better go meditate. I'm back in their drama and trauma. I better go meditate. And in that case, I think meditation is more being used for a drug. And we want to come out of our drug states into an awake state. And meditation is a powerful tool for taking us there. There's actually some interesting research that was done by a fellow named Joseph Chilton Pearson. I forget which of his books it's recounted in. It's either Magical Child or Magical Child Matures. And what Pierce recounts is the research that shows what the common link is with brilliant, happy children. And what they found was the common link was that as children, they all had plenty of blank staring time. You know, exactly the thing that you and I got wrapped in the knuckles for. Get to work. Stop daydreaming. You're not supposed to be looking out the window. You're supposed to be studying math or, whatever it is. And the brilliant, happy children were the ones who spontaneously connected to being, to love. And our culture attempts to stop that. Jeannie has a comment for us.
Yeah, hi. First, we do have a caller, and 786, I'm going to put you on the air here in just a moment. But I'd like to clear something up. There is like a lot of conversation going on in the chat room that has nothing to do with the show. And I invite everybody that's involved in that, if you just want to chit-chat with your friends, go to another chat room or do your private email or IM message or whatever. This show, we welcome you to be part of it. And, we have information that is beneficial to you. And you're more than welcome to sit and listen and participate and ask questions, but to just sit and chit-chat about stuff that has nothing to do with the show among yourselves is not appropriate for this show, and we would appreciate, if that's what you're here for, that, you stop and listen. You may gain something, and, you're saying that we're picking on you and that we're making trouble for you by asking you to stop chatting, and now you're saying that we're all off course. I believe that you need to relook at something that's going on for you. So I'm going to let Michael address that, and then we will turn on number 786. Okay? Hold on.
Yeah, we just ask you to use the chat room for what it's designed for, and what it's designed for is this work. And, we've just got an hour each week to share with you our tools, each day, 5 days a week. And we're glad you're here, and we just invite you to cooperate by using the chat room for its purpose, and that is for ideas expressed around this work. So we've got a caller.
786, you're on the air. Who do we have, and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Dayu from Miami. And Michael, I just wanted to call in to discuss a very interesting new thing I need to heal. And what's coming up for me, and it's coming from age 3 months.
Say again?
I said what's coming up for me is a feeling I'm seeing in others, their unwillingness to change. But when I muscle test...
You're on the air. Are you with us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Nobody there.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Forward with the idea
Hello?
of forgiveness.
Michael?
And
Hello?
Michael?
The tools that we're working with cover a lot of territory.
Michael?
If you have a question for us, please call in. Our call-in number
Hello?
is
Hold on for just a minute. I don't think Michael's hearing us.
Perhaps you could call back in again. 786, we couldn't hear you. So please, call back in again. Maybe
Michael?
Something happened to the connection. If you want to just hang up and call back in, that would be wonderful. Okay, well, come on, call back in. We'd love to chat with you.
This is a perfect opportunity for the rest of us that are in the chat room to work on what it's bringing up for us. And so everybody just breathe and just do your work on, the irritation or the hate or the whatever it is that's ringing you, and let it go.
Or to ring it in because they have not.
So share with us a little bit more, Jeannie, about what's happening. I can't see the chat room.
It's just a couple of people that have just come on, and they're just chit-chatting with each other and asking questions. Do you dream in color? And, I dream in color. What are you doing? And ha-ha, jokes, and just going back and forth with each other that has nothing whatsoever. And so we ask them, are you trying to distract yourself? Are you listening to the show, or what? And somebody said, why are you all talking at once?
She was talking about
someone else is hearing 2 or 3 different conversations. Oh, it says David is attempting to talk to Jeannie and Michael, but they can't hear. So we must be off.
I can hear Jeannie. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay.
If someone would just let us know, can you hear us at this point? We got a technical problem here.
Jen? Michael? Can you hear me? No. He's not hearing.
Okay, there. I can hear you now, David.
Okay. Well, you weren't able to hear us. I don't know what was going on, but you were not able to hear us. The lady that had called in, she was asking her question, and you weren't able to hear her. She may still be on the line. Are you still there?
David and the lady.
Okay. Hello.
Okay. I think the gist of the question of what I was getting, Michael, was that she was talking about some feelings that were coming up for her about the level of willingness that other people to do their work. That's my summarization, and she was getting into what was going on. And if she is there, she will call back in and see if that's accurate of what it is that I heard. And then you can chat with Michael about it. But I think that's the gist of it, though, the feelings that were coming up when other people wouldn't do what it is that, as far as doing their work.
Well, one of the games that our minds will often play is, well, if you won't do your work, I won't do mine. And the truth is that when I choose not to do my work, it's because I don't want to look at what's going on inside of me. And I can always use you for an excuse, but I'm looking to let go of excuses and become responsible, become actual adults that function out of a mind of love and bring forward a different kind of creative process in the world. So Jeannie says they've got a couple of callers. Let's have her introduce them.
Okay, 786, let's try again. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hi, Jeannie, it's Dayu.
Oh,
can you hear
Dayu?
me?
How are you?
I'm good. So I was the one who called in earlier, and I think you answered my question. I had a suspicion that when I'm feeling so strongly that other people are not doing their healing work, it's triggering for me, age 3 months, and it's bringing up a time when my dad left. It's very pre-verbal. It's very hard for me to process this on a worksheet because it's so pre-verbal. I don't even know what, as a child, I would have wanted my dad to do at that time, but he just left, and he went away to work somewhere else, so he was basically not around. And so that's what's coming up, and I've been doing some breathing work around it, but it's still not healed completely.
Right. So it would seem logical that, a child at that young an age who can't verbally express its desire, obviously it wants to experience, the child would be wanting to experience the presence and the love of that parent. And so you might do some worksheets with, Dad, I really wanted you to be there. And I wanted to experience your presence and your love. I wanted to know you. They'd all be worksheets that you find would create a different result in terms of healing. And so you might try those and see what kind of results you get.
Yeah, it's bringing up a lot of tears. It is. Yeah. Because it's funny, when I actually got together with my family 3 years later, it was more traumatic because I had bonded with my grandparents by that time. And so it was a shock to then go to live with my parents. who I couldn't relate to as parents. So my mom tells me, I used to keep saying, I want to go back home, I want to go back home, I want to go back home. So it's like a continuous series of abandonments,
Well, and it sounds like the first abandonment was Dad leaving.
Yes,
and then you having to leave grandmother. And so breathe. And the key is love present as those feelings come up. And we just hold the space. And my experience over the years is that when we can get those things to directly access and feel them, and love is present, they begin to dissolve. They simply begin to disappear and fall apart. And so I invite you to keep your breath moving.
Yeah, because the constant feeling that I have is that nobody's there for me, because there's no one stable figure in my life ever. So is that a clue that I'm not there for myself?
It's just going to be my next thought. Is so then offer that you become the stable figure in your life, that you're there for you, that you support you, and that you are always the presence of love for yourself. Yes.
Okay, so I'll do some work around that. But what comes up again for me is I don't know how, because I wasn't taught.
Right. And so, if you go back to your experience in the intensive, what we're working to demonstrate is how to hold that space, because most of us weren't taught. Most of us were given, ultimatums and directed through hostility and fear, far more than deserves or belongs in the human life. And so it's going to take some practice in being restored to that presence, and perhaps meditating on the presence of Dad's love, meditating on the presence of Mom's love. And another simple tool, if oftentimes we create attachments out of those experiences, and letting go of the attachments can be a powerful thing to do. Would you be interested in say at this point, maybe doing a brief experience, letting go of the attachment to Dad?
Okay. Could you repeat that again? Letting go of the attachment to Dad?
The attachments to Dad, yes.
Okay.
And anybody else who's listening, if there's somebody in your life that you find yourself cycling into hostile or fearful or emotions based on hostility or fear experiences that revolve around a particular person, this is a very simple exercise, but I've seen it change people's lives so dramatically. It's extremely powerful. And so if everyone who would like to would just be filled and centered, and we'll give you some directions on how to let go of those attachments. And what we want to do, first of all, is have direction to get to the seat of the unconscious. And if you were to imagine I had two pencils, I've got two sharpened pencils, and I'm going to place one right through the top center of your head, the crown chakra. And imagine I'm inserting a sharpened pencil, and then imagine I'm inserting another sharpened pencil right through the center of your forehead. Where those two pencils meet, it's the seat of the unconscious, where you can let go of those attachments. So everybody who's on the air that wants to do this exercise, if you just close your eyes, centered, and imagine yourself just focusing your awareness to that place where the two pencil tips meet. One's inserted through the center of the forehead, one's inserted down through the top of the head. So focus yourself right where those two pencil tips meet. I'm going to give a moment for that. And breathe. And then I'm going to ask you to allow an image of the person that you're ready to release the attachments to come to mind. So I'll invite you to stay centered in that place where the two pencil tips meet, and at the same time, hold an image in your mind of that person. And I'm going to just give you a moment to get centered there and hold that image. One of the things that we teach about is a power, a literal elemental force that in the ancient Aramaic language was called Ruka Dekucha. It was an elemental force that undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. So as you're centered in that place,
you have an image. Degu, in your case, it would be your dad. Someone else, it might be a child or a spouse. And just out loud, ask that power. We'll just say, short form, it's a Ruka. I release all attachment to my father.
I release all attachment to my father.
Okay. And as you do that, what's happening?
Am I saying it to Ruka or to myself?
To Ruka.
Okay,
Ruka,
let me say it again. Ruka, I release all attachment to my father. Well, there's a little more ease in my body.
Yeah. Notice what that breath was. That breath is the breath of release. That breath that spontaneously came, that's what undoes and moves those things. You may be experiencing have you got any kind of sensation in your hands or in your head?
Well, actually, I was feeling it in my back and in my underarms, sort of like a parent picking up a child under the arms kind of thing, you know. So I sort of felt a release over there.
Okay.
But it's still not gone 100%. I mean, it's still feeling stressful in those spots.
Yeah. So give yourself some space with that release of the attachments, and what you'll find is the tendency will be for the energy of attachment that keeps negative cycles going to just unwind themselves. And it's a process. Give it about a week and watch what happens. And I think you'll see experience some differences. And if anyone else who did the exercise as I shared, pop in the chat room or give us a call. All right, Dave, we'll look forward to seeing you and hope it comes together. We did get your email about Miami, so we're hoping.
Yeah, I hope it comes together too, and it'd be very exciting to actually have you here. I hope it could be feasible for 2 weekends instead of just one. So I look forward to that. Thank you so much.
Okay, blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bless you.
All right. So we're down to about 2 minutes. If you want to access the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, or The Forgiveness Process. There are also lots of videos, audios. Jeannie has done an awesome job on the website. You can spend weeks and not find every corner. Go to www.whyagain.com. On the right-hand side, download worksheets. Share with your experience of doing those worksheets. If you have any questions or any complications arise as you do them, we'd love to hear from you. Our show is just about to a conclusion point for today, and we're certainly honored and delighted to share tools with you. If you happen to be in the Las Vegas area, we're about an hour west of Las Vegas starting this Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, at a place called Universal Wisdom Center in Pahrump, Nevada. Free afternoon workshop at 1 o'clock, 7 to 9:30, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Sam has done the work for a long time, and she says that even after doing this, as much work as she has done around this, and she's done this exercise many times, that a great deal of energy came up for her and more tears, and that it's a great tool.
Well, we are delighted, Sam, that you are sharing the planet with us and that you've been doing your work and supporting so many others in doing their work. We'll look forward to seeing you with Theodosia. Sam is a person who runs a support group in Springfield, Missouri, and it is Missouri for the locals there, and shares these tools and works with people online. So we're delighted you're on the team, Sam, and we hold a space of love for you. And as that energy processes, we see coming out the other side totally connected to the active space of love. Come and join us. Pahrump, Nevada, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Put the pen to the paper on the reality management worksheet and let yourself experience what the original Aramaic idea of forgiveness was, how it functioned, and we hold the space that you are about to have the best year yet of your eternal life. We hold you in a blessing. Thanks for sharing the show with us. Bring a stranger tomorrow. Blessings.